Stompn just joined a team on PC, and he's going for Pro League, but is this team actually good? Today we're reviewing BANDSCOAST in Element 4, which is the biggest tournament in North America outside of Pro League, with a prize pool of $30,000. Quick note, you might have thought Stompn was already in Pro League because every big creator told you he was, but Stompn's not even old enough to qualify for Pro League yet. Thankfully, he'll be turning 18 in 2025, so you should see him trying to qualify for Pro League soon. Element 4 also had an age restriction, so this iteration of BANDSCOAST ended up being Aiden, Vic, Franklin, Corrupt, and Bless, all of who you should recognize from the roller tournaments. As soon as this tournament ended, though, they ended up dropping Bless and picking up Stompn in his place. So I want to start by showing you the first round that BANDSCOAST played in the entire tournament. This was against Team Cruelty, the best team in all of Mexico, and BANDSCOAST have to defend on Cafe top floor. You can see Franklin's playing on the Maestro, and he set up some Evil Eyes. The first one inside of Cocktail in the default bulletproof spot, the second one over inside of Bar, and then the third Evil Eye just outside of Bathroom here next to the window that can see inside of Piano. They've also got Corrupt playing Echo inside of Back Bar, and they're starting the round with 3 roamers down on the bottom floor, although these 3 players won't all stay down here for too much longer. For their part, Team Cruelty are looking to rush. They've got Pyrox over here on the Grim, who's currently outside the front door. They've got a Lion, they've got a Blackbeard, they've got a Capitao, they've got a Zofia. They're going to go for an explosive, very fast execute down through the skylight. Now, in the prep phase, Ivan actually got a really nice drone inside a back bar, and to this point, Corrupt still hasn't noticed it. So Ivan's got really good intel on the Blackbeard here. Ivan starts by tossing out a nade to help clear out that Evil Eye, and then he repels in to start clearing out Bathroom. With intel on Corrupt, he jumps in and he starts the push, getting into a 1v1 and just barely being able to take down Corrupt. In the meantime, his teammates have kind of all died. Lion decided to swing in heaven and ended up dying to Franklin. At the same time, Grim dropped the skylight and dropped the defuse kit inside a site, also being held now by Franklin. It's not all bad though from Cruelty. Fatal, who's on the Zofia, is able to get the free frag, take down Franklin at the exact same time that Mutombo finds Bless over by the white stairs. Now, all of a sudden, it's just Aiden and Vic down on the bottom floor to try to clutch the 2v3. Fatal destroys the first Evil Eye up on Bar playing as Zofia, but that's the last charge he has on Zofia, and it means that there's not a lot of utility left to deal with the final Evil Eye that's still in the site. Now, despite this being one of the most default Evil Eyes you can put inside of Cafe, and despite the fact that Mutombo does have a Gone 6 out here on Repel, Cruelty don't seem to recognize this fact, and so we end up seeing Ivan just start a plant right in front of the Evil Eye. Aiden, of course, takes advantage of that and starts the round off, starts the comeback by getting a nice C4 pick. Now in the 2v2, both of BANDSCOAST have rotated over to red stairs, and Fatal's about to take a 1v2 against them, perhaps not realizing that his teammate Mutombo is still holding white window, completely removed from the action. There's over 60 seconds left in this round, and Fatal could choose to retreat, but he's got a bit of an ego. So Fatal takes the fight, together they swing, and Vic hits the headshot, now putting themselves into a 2v1. Mutombo realizes how bad this is for him and his team, so he starts to make a move back into the bomb site. He manages to pick up the diffuser and even destroys the Evil Eye, which has plagued them for so long. As Mutombo starts the plant, though, the 2 players on BANDSCOAST play this really well. Aiden and Vic set up a bit of a crossfire. They pinch 2 different directions so that no matter where Mutombo wants to go, he's not escaping from this position, and they can start to close in on his spot from both sides. Mutombo realizes the trouble he's in, and he makes the decision to try to swing one of these players and try to get a pick. But Aiden's too good on the shot, and he manages to win the very first round in Element 4 for BANDSCOAST. Now, this was an impressive first round. Unfortunately, that was the only round they got. They ended up losing 7-1 to Team Cruelty after losing the next 7 in a row, and went down 0-1 inside of Element 4. In their next match, BANDSCOAST ended up playing against the Bay Harbor Butchers, a stack with a couple of former old-school pro players on it, and they lost in another devastating 7-2. At this point, it was looking like BANDSCOAST might be barreling towards dead last place in Element 4. But that's when Element 4 turned to BO3s, and after getting a clean 2 over Karn & Co., BANDSCOAST found themselves in a BO3 against Garage Talks. So for BANDSCOAST, their second BO3 started just as dominantly as their first, as they went to a 4-0 lead up against Garage Talks, attacking on Chalet. Round 5 was a very default kitchen hold coming out from Garage Talks, with most of their players extending to the top floor and Thomas left alone to anchor inside a kitchen. BANDSCOAST's plan was to open up the office wall to deny the vertical pressure, then go down below, open up the dining wall, and then plant inside a dining from fireplace. A really standard strat, but the only hard breach they had to accomplish this were going to be the 2 exothermic charges on Corrupt, plus the 2 can openers being held by Vic. Corrupt wastes no time at the start of the round, getting into mezzanine and starting to open up the office wall, which he does without any problems at all thanks to some good EMPs. Now, Malusi's playing on the half wall, which is a bit of an annoying position, but Franklin and Aiden are going to work together really nicely to clear him out of this spot. A Capitao Bolt's going to first come out from Franklin to move the space, and then Aiden finds the pick in from the doorway. Aruni does trade Aiden on the long angle with a really nice shot, but despite Franklin being down, the rest of the players can survive top floor, at least in the short term. Step 2, of course, is then opening the dining wall, so Corrupt comes in with the exothermic charge, and then Franklin with the pocket EMP comes out to deal with the mute jammer. Now, this is all opening perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with this push, but there is one issue. Bless is inside a bar, and he's making rotates with the super shorty. And although he didn't mean to, as Bless was making the rotates, one of his shotgun pellets went through the wall and ended up shooting the exothermic charge, so now they couldn't open the wall to dining. And while Vic is still top floor with can openers, he ends up swinging a bad angle, and Yuzi gets the kill. Now, without an angle into sight, Thomas is able to just hold the one doorway plus the footholes and clean up 2 quick kills. And right as that happened, Yuzi top floor finds the last kill, taking down Franklin, all stemming from the fact that they just couldn't get that wall open. So, okay, that might be a blunder from Bless, but it's still 4-1. It's still a dominating position from BANDSCOAST. As long as nothing bad happens in the next round, they should still be sailing their way to a 5-1 half, right? This time, it's a basement hold coming out from Garage Talks, and they've got a one-man roam from Reapus on the top floor, another roamer, Tommy, holding down Kitchen, and then 3 players, Ozone, Yuzi, and Phantom, all holding down the site. For their part, BANDSCOAST are going for a 4-man rush through bunker, with Corrupt, Franklin, Bless, and Aiden all pushing this one doorway, and then Vic holding a cutoff over by West Main. So with EMPs and the Blitz, they start their boiler rush, but Phantom is very ready for this, and with a Nitro Cell and then some really good moves, he seems to repel this. It seems to be that the guys on BANDSCOAST decide they don't actually want to push this, and most of them fall off. At the same time, Vic has jumped into West Main, and he's holding a perfect angle to find a sneaky little kill onto the Legion and give him a man advantage. But Reapus has returned through dining, and not only does he hit a great shot to trade out the first pick, but he also ends up finally in a 1v1 against the Blitz. After a bit of back and forth, nobody comes to help the Blitz, and Reapus gets another pick before being able to fall off back to site using Skopos' unique ability. But BANDSCOAST don't know that he's just teleported away, so while Corrupt and Aiden are trying to pinch this player by pushing through Kitchen, Bless has worked his way all the way through Trench, through the hallway, and now is pushing up West Main, expecting to find the Skopos. Instead, Bless swings the corner, sees his teammate, and well, it was a good shot. And after another blunder from Bless puts BANDSCOAST into a 2v4, they just have to walk at the site. Bless goes in totally alone, dying to Ozone. And Aiden isn't too far away either, pushing down the blue hall, not aware that Reapus is literally right around the corner, and manages to get the final kill. Now, eventually, BANDSCOAST do end up winning Chalet, but that was only map 1 in the BO3, and in the second map of Cafe, they lose it again, this time 7-4 to Garage Talks to force a map 3. Skyscraper started really bad for BANDSCOAST. They went down 5-1 on their attacking half, which meant they could only lose a single defense, and then they'd have to force overtime in order to win the game. On their first defensive round, they went T-Room and Karaoke, and Garage Talk answered with a Black Stairs-focused push. Garage Talks brought Ozone on the Sens, and their game plan was going to be to enter through the black doorway, use Ace to breach their way in through Karaoke, and then cover with the Sens wall so that nobody could deny the plant as they put it down inside of sight. They get black control relatively quickly, but Reapus takes his time to go for a cheeky swing and grab a nice pick onto Franklin. Ace rotates over and he tries to open the Karaoke wall, but it does get jammed by a mute jammer. Reapus knows how important it is to get this jammer, so he starts using his flashbangs and then he goes for a big swing to finally take down the jammer, although he does pay for it with his life. This gets the wall open, and Ozone can now start using sense walls to cross path and get into a plant position. As he tosses his second Sens wall, though, he notices that part of it gets jammed. That's because there's a mute jammer just inside the T-Room door, which is going to end up being a really big problem. Because of that, Ozone, who's bringing nades on Sens, is able to use his utility to nade out the jammer and clear it so the rest of his wall can perform. At this point, Sens tosses out the last wall and gets into a plant position. And if everything goes right here, this should be it. As long as there's no way for anybody inside of T-Room to stop this plant, this should be an absolutely free round coming out from Garage Talks, basically dooming BANDSCOAST. But Tom Clancy was looking out for BANDSCOAST on this day, because when Sens threw their final wall, it didn't create a perfectly straight line like it's supposed to. Instead, a tiny gap was formed in the middle of the wall, and Corrupt used it to do this. Yes, this gap right where it bounces against the karaoke wall shouldn't exist, but for some reason in the game, it does. And Corrupt was able to use that to be able to find that final pick, stopping the plant and eventually forcing the second player to swing, getting himself another pick, and eventually winning this round for BANDSCOAST. This then started a crazy comeback where they won round after round after round after round, and BANDSCOAST eventually not only forces into overtime, but won it in OT as well, claiming the final map of the series 8-7 in maximum OT. BANDSCOAST would then lose the final series of the Swiss format, going down to TSG 2-0. But I think what these replays have shown is that there's some real talent and some real cool stuff going on over at BANDSCOAST. And the mistakes that we saw in this replay file review did often come from Bless, which is the one guy that Stompn does end up replacing on this roster. So what do you think? Does this team have potential to go to Pro League, or are they destined to play in Tier 2 and Tier 3 forever? Let me know down below and subscribe for more Siege content.